College football is back in full force and the NFL kicks off this weekend. So let's go ahead and do a mock draft. Matter of fact, we're doing 2 rounds, baby. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy, Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. You might be like, how did you get this draft order? Well, I'm glad you asked, because over this summer, I did a deep dive on all 32 NFL teams, and I projected where or how I think they will do this upcoming football season. So I just pulled it from that, and I know you'd be like, oh, this is unrealistic. The draft order is going to be vastly different by the end of the year. Yes, it will, but these mock drafts are meant to explore possibilities and really to give you all a watch list of players that I think are going to be really good in college football. So without further ado, let's get into this sucker. Starting with the Arizona Cardinals, and this is actually their pick. They will have another first round pick, as you can see, via Houston. Thank you very much. And we're going Caleb Williams. That's kind of the obvious decision here, right? Like, unless they get a Keen's ransom for this #1 overall pick, I think maybe Kyler's days are numbered. I mean, they really don't have a legitimate starter going into this season. We won't see Kyler probably till week 10 at the best. I mean, I think at that point you're probably just going to be shopping Kyler, and it's a new coaching staff. They're probably going to want to get their guy, like specifically their guy. So I think maybe Caleb Williams could end up an Arizona Cardinal. We got the Los Angeles Rams. Haven't heard that team in the first round in a long time, but I know they need a lot of work done. But this quarterback class really comes down to 2 guys as of right now. It's either Caleb Williams and Drake Maye. So we're going to go ahead and snag Drake Maye as the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, and hopefully they've been trying to get off some contracts, the Rams, that is. So hopefully maybe they can build that, or you don't even need to start Drake Maye right away. I know we live in a society where you draft a rookie quarterback in the first round, he's probably going to be your day 1 starter. I don't think they have to go with that approach if they don't want to or they don't feel the need to. But regardless, he is, for me, the best prospect on the board. The other guy I would consider there is, in all honesty, Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think I'm just going to swing for the quarterback. And speaking of Marvin Harrison Jr., Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they would love to get a quarterback. Didn't fall that way. It is what it is. But you know what? Mike Evans, they've shut down contract talks, at least for the immediate future. He's a free agent after the season, so why not just go ahead and replace him with a guy on a rookie deal for whoever may play quarterback there and grab Marvin Harrison Jr. He is truly a blue chipper. He is going to be the top wide receiver in this draft. Now we're back with the Arizona Cardinals. It would have been real nice to pair up our new quarterback with a receiver. It is what it is. They could go a lot of different ways here. They did address offensive tackle this past draft with Paris Johnson. So maybe going to the defensive end, and it really came to, like Kool-Aid McKinstry at corner position, or maybe going with the top edge, which I kind of lean JT from Ohio State, but he is a projection at this point. So I'm just going to go with a little comfort food, someone that was very high on last season in Jared Verse to come and help the pass rush for this team. Indianapolis Colts. This one's kind of tough because, like, honestly, the best value on the board, it's the offensive tackle position. You might be like, well, Bernard Ryman is there. He could produce, and they've Braden Smith. I think his contract doesn't allow you to really get out of it, but he's so good. Why would you? So maybe you could probably kick Bernard Ryman, who was someone I was pretty high on in the 2022 draft. You could kick him into guard. I mean, Will Fries, I don't know how you say his name. He's been terrible anyway. So maybe just go with the top tackle prospect. For a lot of people, that's Olu Fashanu. I think I like the complete package of Joe Alt right now a little bit better. Obviously, that could change. I really think it's kind of 1A and 1B at this point. So I'm going to go with Joe Alt. The Washington Commanders, they're here at 6, and I ain't thinking quarterback. I loved Sam Howell. And honestly, I don't think there's a quarterback I would risk taking inside the top 10 to top 15 at this point. There really isn't that distinguished QB3 in this class yet. We will talk about other quarterbacks later on, though. Instead, hey, this is Eric Bieniemy. Who was Kansas City's best friend as a pass catcher? Okay, I know Tyreek Hill, but I'm talking about Travis Kelce. We're going to get Brock Bowers because Brock Bowers is a menace. He's a monster. He's up to 240, but even at 230, he was a wonderful blocker. I mean, you're playing for Georgia. You kind of have to be. So I'm not worried about how his size translates, especially now he's up to that 240 anyway. So we're going to grab Brock Bowers. Las Vegas Raiders, you could consider quarterback here. Again, I'm not sold on anyone inside the top 15 at this point, so I'm not going to go with quarterback. Instead, I think we're going to go with corner because it's really Nate Hobbs and then you might be Jacorian Bennett. Listen, dude's a 4th round pick. I think he wasn't a 3rd. He was a 4th. I'm pretty sure. Maryland corner, regardless. He's a rookie. He's unproven. Let's just go ahead and keep out of the position. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think, is a blue chipper. He was fabulous in 2022 for Alabama. Chicago Bears, they're going to get back-to-back picks here because of the Carolina Panthers. And first thing that came to mind was obviously pass rush, and I think I'll get pass rush with their second pick, but I don't know what they're gonna really do with Darnell Mooney. Maybe he does end up being traded eventually during the season. I don't know. I think you're in a good spot to maybe get a good yak weapon regardless. So my receiver 2 currently is Malik Neighbors, so I'm gonna snag him to help out Justin Fields. And then I'm going to go with that edge position. I talked about JT earlier as kind of the high upside pass rusher here, a guy that has a lot of the traits. It's just the production's not there. Of course, he has that monster Penn State game, but now he's going to be a full-time starter. Let's see how he does. I'm going to go with JT again, a high upside prospect. I think he was a former 5-star just a couple of recruiting classes ago. Tennessee Titans. I thought hard and long about this one. Long and hard. Woof, phrasing. You know what I'm saying? But this is a team that want their offensive line to be better. Peter Skoronski, right now he's slotted as guard. I think he can play tackle in the NFL fine. If they see him as guard, that's fine. It is what it is. They have Nicholas Petit-Frere, but I don't think his rookie year was like phenomenal. I thought it was fine. It had ups, it had downs. He's suspended for the first part of this season. Also a guy you could probably kick into guard. And then they brought in Andre Dillard, who actually played some guard for Philadelphia, but I mean, they paid him to be a tackle. I don't mind bringing in competition, and the value's kind of there for Olu Fashanu. There ain't no way this guy should fall out of the top 10, so we're going to snag him here. Okay, this one I thought about. I was like, with the Patriots, I was like, if we're picking here at 11, maybe you want to go quarterback. But I was like, let's reel back right now. And let's think of other areas we could go. And I look at that tackle position. Like Trent Brown and Riley Reif, those aren't long-term options. So let's go ahead and get a long-term option in the top class. And I really think, where you at? Armarius Mims could end up being, I think he could end up compete for tackle 1 in this class. We've only seen 4 starts. 2 starts. And it was during the college football playoff last year. But they were very impressive starts. So I'm going to snag him here for the Patriots. He actually kind of fits their philosophy when it comes to run scheme. But then again, I don't know how much that will change with Bill O'Brien. We got the Green Bay Packers. This one's tough. It's kind of like, I kind of felt like just taking best player available. And because this is a team that's actually very talented. They have a lot of talent on that squad. It's really, you kind of look at like Joe Barry. That's kind of like the big weak link defensively. But they probably could get better at the safety group. And you look at Cooper DeJean, who could be a safety, could be a corner, and you feel good about either one of those. He's a phenomenal athlete. So I'm going to go ahead and snag him here as just a good value pick for the Green Bay Packers. That's right. They just went Iowa defensive players back-to-back, 2 years in a row. New York Giants. I know some people are going to be mad I have them at 13, but hey, I get it. If you're a bigger believer than like Danny Dimes than I am, it's fine. I love the coaching staff. I'm just not sold on it. Regardless, with Danny Dimes, he's there for the next 2 years. contract-wise. He signed a 4-year, but I think they can't get out until after year 2. So let's try to... At first, I was like, let's make this situation better. But I look at Emeka Ibuka, who's the next receiver up here, and I'm like, that role's kind of like they already have their receiver group. It's kind of filled with guys that are very similar to what role I expect Ibuka to play at the next level. Then I'm looking, I was like, okay, Leonard Williams, they could probably get out of that contract, as they should. Someone I am very, very high on that comes out of my favorite team, the Hurricanes, the U baby, and he's also a Leonard, is Leonard Taylor. I think he's going to be I think he's got a monster year and could end up being a top 10 pick there for the Hurricanes. So we're going to snag him here, and maybe we address offense in the second round. On to the Minnesota Vikings, and for me, first and foremost, this comes down to we need to get guys that fit whatever coverage scheme, which a lot of us plan it's going to be like maybe press man, maybe maybe Flores doesn't go too into press man, but I imagine there's going to be a lot of it there. So let's get guys that kind of fit that scheme, and this is a team that needs to get better at the corner position regardless. And this was a guy that actually I didn't watch till after I made my corners list, and I can see why people are pretty high on him, that he could end up being the Devon Witherspoon, that guy that kind of comes out of nowhere to be he was pick 5 last year, but be this first round pick. And it is Keelan Carson. This dude's a phenomenal athlete. He is a really, really good athlete. And it's a small sample size. I think he just had under 400 snaps last year. Part of that was injury, though. I think he had a wrist injury that cost him the last few games. But he has shown ball skills. He's shown to be very productive. And he is a little smaller. But golly, this dude wants to play and does play physical. So this is kind of like and I think he made Dane Brugler's top cornerback list too. And that's actually where I was like, oh, I haven't watched this guy. Let's go back and watch him. There's not that many snaps I have to go back and watch because he didn't play a ton. So this is a guy to definitely watch out for. Pittsburgh Steelers. This was tough because it's another team that feels like they got a lot of talent on the squad, but I was thinking maybe corner, but at this point I like Kalen Keene could be a good option, but do you want to go back-to-back Penn State corners like with high value picks? I mean, if they're good, then yes, but I kind of reeled back on that I was like, okay, let's maybe look at some of the contracts, and I think maybe a contract potentially they might want to get out of, whether it's after next season or the year after that, is Deontay Johnson. And I think regardless, even if they do end up keeping Deontay Johnson, I think if you want to have a scary trio of receivers, because Deontay Johnson now plays a lot on the outside, though. I mean, he's a guy that can play in the slot, he can play outside. You got Pickens there. So the best player on the board is a receiver. So let's just make a scary trio with Emeka Ibuka. So I snagged him here. Would have loved to go corner, but I think this is a good corner class, so maybe I could wait in the second round to get it. The Houston Texans, this is their pick via Cleveland. They gave away their other first-round pick to move up to get Will Anderson, because C.J. Stroud was their first, was the guy they picked with their actual pick last year. Houston Texans, we could go a lot of different ways, but I was looking at how the board fell, and I was looking at the roster, and D'Amico Ryans is a guy that loves having that 3-tech penetrator, and I don't think that guy is on the roster right now. And this is good value. This is another guy that's probably going to be a top 20, top 15 pick in Jazon Newton, who was phenomenal last year for Illinois. So I'm going to snag him right here. Denver Broncos. I was tempted at quarterback, but I was like, you know what? Because the way I project them, they're not like they're a solid squad. It's just the AFC is going to be tough. Like, you're going to have to be a 10 to 11 win team to make the wild card in the AFC. So it's like they might be willing to go, especially with how much financially they're investing in Russell Wilson. They might be willing to go another year with Wilson. So if that's the case, you're going to look at this receiving core, right? Where Tim Patrick hurt again. Unfortunate. So you can't really trust him health-wise. He's been hurt back-to-back years. Cortland Sutton, is he going to bounce back? He's had some high points last year, but is he? Maybe they choose to get off on that contract. So maybe you go after a guy who has his prototypical X size at the wide receiver position. That's transferring from Michigan State. He's going to be at Florida State. Keon Coleman. This guy, again, I think he could be a X factor X wide receiver. So this is a good wide receiver class. Let me tell you, it just is. My Miami Dolphins, fins up, baby, fins up. This shouldn't be hard to believe. I look at this team and I'm like, I want more help on the offensive line. I don't believe in Austin Jackson. And you'd be like, well, who's after those top three? I think a guy that has the upside that just needs a little technical refinement is Kingsley. I'm not going to butcher his last name. I don't have a pronunciation in front of me, so I'm not going to try it. But Kingsley from BYU. This dude's got the length. He's got good quicks. I think his foot movement is real nice. Got the movement skills. He's got the strength. Just needs to refine what he does with his hands. And typically at BYU, they're pretty good about refining guys. So I'm a fan of this cat. My Dolphins, they need tackle help, especially if you consider like Treyon Armstead. He's missing time every year. So getting depth at tackle is not a bad option. Before we get to Atlanta's pick, I want to give a quick shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Thank you so much for being the sponsor of today's video. There is not a better place to play fantasy football than Underdog Fantasy, and you can bet on all kinds of things, over, under, and fantasy points. And it's not just football. They got all kinds of sports. So when you sign up with promo code Broshmo, they'll match your first deposit up to $100 dues. So hey, great way to support the channel and maybe make a little bit of that coin as well. But as always, with betting, bet responsibly, my friends. Let's go ahead, get into this Atlanta pick. And you know what? I'm not completely sold on Desmond Ridder. This is a team that added a lot of good players, and I think if you want to take a swing at quarterback, this might be the place to do it. And I liked Quentin Ewers. I really did. I think he's got the arm talent. He just need to work on the decision making, the ball placement. He's got a really quick release, and the dude can extend plays with his feet. So I'm going to go ahead. He could be one of those quarterbacks that contend for QB3. He could also very well be a guy that returns and ends up being in the 2025 class. The New Orleans Saints. Who dat? All right, with the Saints, this is another team that's very complete. But you do look at the defensive line, and you're like, okay, they're trying to reconstruct like the pass rush there, right? So they want to get guys that can go on and get after. They did add Isaiah Foskey, but I think getting someone who has just got an electric get off could be the right way to go. So we're going to do that with Chop Robinson, man. He really flashed in 2022 for Penn State, and I think this year could be a big year for him. Detroit Lions, and this just kind of falls really good for the Lions. This is a team that is just reconstructing their secondary, especially the corner position. Emmanuel Mosley's only on a one-year deal. You also look at Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or CJ Gardner-Johnson. He's on a one-year deal. So maybe addressing the corner position. I'm bringing up Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because he's probably going to be the slot guy there. So maybe addressing the corner position would be a wise move. And Kalen Keene is really good value here at 21. So I'm just going to go ahead and snag him. Jacksonville Jaguars. Another team that could go a bevy of ways. But if I'm going to put my Trent Baalke cap on, who's the guy that has like the most ridiculous physical and athletic tools in this class? And I think that's probably going to be, I don't know if they list him as an interior. Yeah, they list him as an interior. It's Mason Smith. He's mainly played edge, and I say mainly because he was hurt all of last season, and it was during his freshman season that he played edge. But he's got the size to kick in. He's like 6'6", 300 pounds. The dude is just a very gifted athlete. So Trent Baalke, he loves them athletes. We're going to snag him here. All right, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, and this is probably where I feel like going with the first safety off the board. They lose Nazir Adderley. He ends up retiring, which sucks. That was a guy that had a lot of range, and I look at that safety group, and I don't feel like they have a lot of range to him. But Cameron Kitchens, another guy out of the U. This guy has range for days. He's a very willing tackler, and he's got ball skills out the wazoo. So we're going to snag him there for the Chargers. Baltimore Ravens, and I mean, Baltimore, they typically just go best player available. Usually they look where the value's at, and I think there's a case to be made that they could go in this direction because you look at their edge room, and I don't think it is a foregone conclusion that they have the answer to, I guess, their edge problem right now on the roster. Like Odafe Owe, he's been fine. And you look at guys like David Ojabo and the cat they got out of Ole Miss this past year. They're complete unknowns. You don't know what you have in those guys. And Javion Clowney, he is a good veteran addition. So maybe they could go with edge, and Dallas Turner just flies off the edge. A little undersized. Dude plays big, though. Dude plays big. I'm going to go ahead and snag him here. He is a first-round talent for all intents and purposes right now. Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if Seahawks fans are going to like this. Matter of fact, I'm a little confident that y'all might hate this. But listen, Geno Smith was great. He's been great, but he's going to be 33 going on 34 entering the 2024 season. I don't think how he played in 2022 is sustainable because of just how accurate he was down the field. Like, I still think he's going to be good. I just think that number down the field is going to come down a little bit. I just kind of think he's the perfect bridge quarterback at this point for a team that has already made a lot of additions, and they look like I say look like they are contenders. So you remain contenders by getting that next guy behind Geno. And I think they're in a place to do it here. And I'm kind of in on Bo Nix, man. This is a dude that at Auburn, his freshman year, we were like, he's a future first-round pick. The dude's built well, great arm talent. Dude's got a cannon for an arm. And as a processor, it's all starting to click for him now that he's away from Auburn and the Gus Bus. So I'm going to snag Bo Nix right here. Dallas Cowboys. This was another kind of like, okay, who's the best player on the board? Like on my board. Obviously, my board's different than PFF's. And I was looking, I was like, you know what? Terence Steele is a free agent. I don't know if they're going to be willing to pay him. So maybe they could go tackle. And there's a very high upside tackle here that if he can clean up some of his technique, especially in the run game, then he is literally an O-line coach's wet dream. And that's J.C. Latham out of Alabama. All right, we're back here with the Green Bay Packers. And we snagged Cooper DeJean earlier. And you look at the receiving core, it's just a lot of unproven talent. Like everyone on that roster is a first-year or second-year player. And honestly, if you don't feel good about what you got or you think you could just keep adding competition, I think they're kind of in a place where they can. So I'm actually going to snag Xavier Worthy. He's a yak threat. He's a vertical threat. I like him here for the Packers. And full disclosure, I was kind of eyeing a tackle I didn't know if I wanted to be the first team to take a guard off the board. So I was like, okay, maybe we could get a tackle, and it just didn't fall that way for the Packers. So kind of is what it is. Buffalo Bills. Actually, I kind of would have loved to tackle for the Buffalo Bills. Just again, the board kind of didn't fall that way. I don't think Graham Barton is their cup of tea. Like he's an athlete. Like they love their RAS score guys, right? I say RAS score, while the S in RAS stands for score. They love those guys, right? But I don't think his arm measurements are going to be ideal, and I think he's gonna at least for the Bills, I think they're gonna want him to like hit the physical thresholds. Instead, I'm gonna get someone that can help stop the run. We kind of saw how when oh gosh, why am I blanking on his name? Daquan Jones, when he went down to the playoffs, how inept that team was kind of at run block or run defended. Not to say they're a bad run defending team, but like you could get a guy who dude, he was number 1 on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. And he is well put together. Like, I think if he becomes better as a pass rusher, we could see him skyrocket up the boards. I'm going to grab Chris Jenkins. A big reason he didn't make my defensive interior list was, again, he's not the most complete pass rusher yet. Just not very successful at that. I think he was around like 7 to 9 pass rush win rate, like 7-9%. And on top of that, I took that he was still 280 from last year. Apparently, he's up to 300, which that changes a lot. That really, really does. San Francisco 49ers. I'm willing to actually take a shot here with the Niners because they love their athletic offensive linemen. And again, I kind of didn't feel like it fit for the Bills, but I think it fits here for Kyle Shanahan and his wide zone blocking scheme. I'm going to take Grant Barton, a guy who could play guard. He could play tackle. In this case, he's going to play tackle. I think the Niners are set at guard with Aaron Brooks and Spencer Burford. So we're going to snag Barton. And we got the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of different ways we could go here. And one way I'm thinking is, you know what? I don't think Herb Smith Jr. is a solution if they really are looking for just a super receiving threat at the tight end position. Like, Drew Sample's fine. He's solid. He's a good tight end too. But Irv Smith, you can't even really trust him health-wise. At least you haven't been able to through his career. And I think with Jatavion Sanders, I think there's a good drop-off at the tight end position after that. So let's just grab him here and call it a day. Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock here, and actually this is where linebacker is going to come off the board. You might be like, linebacker? They're pretty good at linebacker. Well, Willie Gay, I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. I think he's a free agent after this season, and I love Leo Chenal. I love him. But I don't mind adding competition to the position. This is a team that, honestly, I don't think has a lot of needs, and a lot of the defensive tackle prospects kind of already went off the board. And this is actually a pretty good defensive tackle class if I want to circle back to it somewhere on day 2. So I'm going to go with my pick of whatever linebacker I want. And if we're going to replace Willie Gay, I want to do that with a very athletic linebacker that has a pass rush upside, and that's Barrett Carter. So we're going to snag him here out of Clemson. Philadelphia Eagles. Well, the first linebacker went off the board, and I'm like, let's go ahead, jump on this train. They have Nakobe Dean, who I have full confidence in. I love Nakobe Dean. However, Zach Cunningham, I think he's more of a placeholder, a good depth guy, good coverage linebacker. Like, you could hold on to him. He's a solid player. But this is a team that has an embarrassment of riches at every position. So let's just go ahead and probably take the best player off the board. And I think for me, there's a linebacker I have rated higher, but again, some of this is projection, and there is a red flag with him. So maybe I go to the next guy who has some roots in Philly, baby. Hey, Steelers did this with Joey Porter. They grabbed his son. I think the Eagles could do this with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I'm going to snag that. So back-to-back Clemson linebackers off the board. That completes the first round. And Arizona Cardinals, we're on the clock here. We grabbed Jared Verse. We grabbed Caleb Williams. So what's next on the agenda? I think they could go with wide receiver. I think there's a few wide receivers that could sneak into the first round that have some upside. And one of them for me is, where you at? Troy Franklin, who just scored 2 touchdowns today. Granted, it's Portland State. It's against them. He should be doing well, but I think he has the ability, like, he has the athleticism, the ability to be a really good route runner. He already shows up at the contested catch, and he's young, and he needs to put more meat on them bones, but he's got a good frame. So I'm going to snag him here for the Cardinals. The LA Rams. And this team, they invested a lot in pass rush. Well, I say a lot. They invested a lot in pass rush with like day 2, day 3 picks. I don't think it's solved. You don't know if those guys are going to be able to like produce. I feel good about Byron Young, excuse me. But he's going to need someone next to him. So I'm going to snag someone I like a lot. He played really well. He actually had the highest pass rush win rate last season for Washington, and he was doing that with a club on one hand because I don't know if he had a broken hand or he had a fractured hand, but Braylon Trice, man, another name to watch out for. That could be a first rounder. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I thought about pulling the trigger on quarterback here because there is a quarterback that I got my eye on, but I was like, you know what? Just screw it. Just forget it at the quarterback position at this point. Maybe see what you have in Kyle Trask or go another year with Baker Mayfield. Let's just keep adding talent to the offense, especially the tackle position, because I don't feel great about Luke Godecki. I feel great about Tristan Wirfs, but that other side, maybe we try to fill that position in. And I think there's a chance Blake Fisher could sneak into the first round, the other Notre Dame tackle. I think he needs a bit refinement. He's unpolished. He kind of struggles with leverage, being a taller tackle too, but athletically and physically, he is everything you want. So I'm going to snag him here. We got the Houston Texans. We got Jerzon Newton in the first round. So what do we do here in the second round? Well, unfortunately, this guy was banged up. This was in our watch-along game out of South Carolina. Hey, this offense, Bobby Slowick, he's going to love yak options, and this is the yak option here. We're going to go with Juice Wells. Again, told you in the opener against North Carolina, he got banged up, so he only played like a quarter and a half, so didn't really get to see what he could do, but we saw what he did last year for South Carolina. We saw what he did at James Madison, where he just set receiving records. This guy is phenomenal after the catch. Indianapolis Colts back on the clock. I grabbed Joe Alt, and you know what? This is a team that they're young at corner. They're young. They're inexperienced. Just keep throwing draft capital at the position until you get it right. Not to say they can't get it right with what they drafted last year, but I'm just saying bring in more competition. Like cornerback is such a volatile position. Now, this guy isn't on PFF's mock draft simulator, but you've heard me talk about him. If you haven't, go ahead and check out my cornerback rankings video. It's Dwight McGlothern out of Arkansas. Love this cat. He's got a great nose for the football, great frame as well. And I swear, if y'all think I'm talking about DJ James, I'm not. I say great frame, and you're going to go look at DJ James, and you're like, this guy's 170. No, I'm talking about Dwight McGlothern. I'm talking about McGlove. The McGlove, baby. All right, Washington Commanders. I grabbed Brock Bowers. And I think this is actually where I take that swing on that linebacker I was talking about. You might be like, oh, you're not really going for high-value positions. Well, one, the tight end, I gotcha. I'm saying, hey, this cat could be the Travis Kelce to your offense. That's not a comp. I'm saying in terms of how he can function inside a Benemy offense. Let's go ahead now. Let's grab the linebacker because Jamin Davis has developed well, but you could be looking for also an option next to him. I don't think Cody, was it Barton? Is that who you brought in? I don't think he's a long-term answer. And I'm actually a big fan of where he at? Jamon Dumas Johnson. He is kind of the leader of that defense. He's got a great frame. He's at like 245, flies around the field. Could clean up as a tackler, but I think that's fine. I think that a lot of that is just the aggression he plays with. But again, this dude is the quarterback of the defense there at Georgia. He fills in that Nakobe Dean role. So I'm pretty high on him. So I'm hoping he has a great year and ends up being the linebacker one. He was linebacker one for me. Las Vegas Raiders. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I thought about quarterback, but I was like, you know what? Just send it with Jimmy G for now. It's kind of fine. Let's kind of solve some of the offensive line woes. I think they're trending in the right direction, but I look at that right guard spot. I was like, let's try to solve that problem, and let's go ahead and just take the first guard off the board here. And for me, the first guard is Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. They got him ranked low here, but he's been phenomenal for Kansas State. They played him at left tackle his first 2 years. Then he moved to guard last year, and guess what? Phenomenal. You will hardly find a bad rep out of him. The Chicago Bears, we grabbed JT at edge, and then we grabbed Malik Neighbors. So what do we do here next for the Bears? I think now with the first guard going off the board, maybe we could start this run on interior players. Cody Whitehair, the dude's up there in years, and Tevin Jenkins, the dude's back on the pup. Like, need someone that can stay healthy. So let's get someone who's got that versatility first of all. I don't think he's even on here. Bo Limmer out of Arkansas. He played guard last year. He's moving to center, and he moved to center in the bowl game last season. It looked phenomenal. I forgot who was he replacing. Golly, I forgot. He's on the Commanders now. Can't remember, but I think this cat's going to be phenomenal. He's solid. He gives you that versatility on the interior. So maybe, okay, well, we do want to go with Jenkins. Cool. Play him at center. Oh, well, Jenkins too hurt. We're going to keep Whitehair at center. Cool. Play him at guard. I think he gives you that flexibility. Zach Frazier is also a pretty solid prospect, but I'm a little lower on him than the general consensus. Just to give a shout out there. Carolina Panthers, this is their first pick. As you know, their other first rounder went to the Bears. So I think take a shot on a guy. Like, the pass rush ain't that good. I know that they traded up for DJ Johnson. I wasn't that high on DJ Johnson. They need someone next to Brian Burns. And Latu, I think, has, like, if not for, like, the medical red flag with the spine, I think he would be probably in the first round discussion. At the very least, early second round. So why not just take a shot on a guy like that? Like, this is a very good finesse pass rusher. Tennessee Titans, we grabbed Olu Fashanu. I thought that was a banger pick. And you know what? Okay, you bring in D-Hop. That's great. You have Treylon Burks. He's developing. But why not just keep adding weapons? Like, I just love that. And there is a phenomenal athlete here who, yes, needs a more bit polish at the receiver position, but he's produced in spite of that. And that is Washington's Rome Odunze. Where you at? Right here, baby. You could, dude, Treylon Burks played in the slot at Arkansas. You could kick him in the slot. You could probably put Odunze in the slot and have a field day. And I mean, you still have Kyle Phillips. Suddenly your receiver core looks very scary. The New England Patriots, and you know what? This is actually where I pulled the trigger on the next quarterback. You might be like, what about Mac Jones? Listen, you're going to have to make a call on Mac Jones. Is he the guy or is he not? And I don't have a lot of faith that he could be like a consistent top 15 quarterback in the NFL. I'm just not there when it comes to Mac Jones. I wasn't really that high on him going into his draft class either. So I'm going to go with Michael Penix. The injuries are why he's so far down my board right now. Just because his first 4 years when he was at Indiana, he would go 5 or 6 games, season-ended injury. It was like 2 ACL injuries and then 2 shoulder injuries. He played fully healthy last season for Washington. If he does it again, like, this is a cat that should probably be a first rounder, but the medicals might play a big part in that. So I'm going to go ahead and snag him here for the Patriots. I think that it's really good value. It really is. Green Bay Packers, we grabbed Cooper DeJean and wide receiver out of Texas, Xavier Worthy. Again, a team that's just got a plethora of talent. So you could kind of go wherever you want. And I'm kind of in the mindset like, hey, let's try to give Jordan Love like not just this season, but also next season to get a good evaluation. Now, A.J. Dillon could be gone. And honestly, Aaron Jones could be a cap casualty, or they could keep him. So this is where the first running back comes off the board. And if you're not new to the channel, you know I love Trey Benson. I love the way this dude is built. I love the way he runs. I think he's got home run speed. I think he has an untapped pass catching potential that Florida just hasn't dipped into yet. And his missed tackle rate is insane. It was higher than guys like Travis Etienne when he was at Clemson. It was higher than Javonte Williams at North Carolina. It was higher than Bijan's last season. So watch out for the upside of Trey Benson. New York Giants. listen, I want to help Danny Dimes. And that starts with the wide receiver core. I don't think they have enough variety at receiver, so why not get someone vastly different than anyone they have on that receiver core? And if you're not familiar with the name yet, dude, Johnny Wilson, 6'7", 240. This dude's got good launch speed. He's got a great contested. He's gonna be a great contested catcher. I think he can get better ball skills, which I think that'll come eventually. But this guy's a freak. He's just built different. They don't have a guy like that on the roster. Minnesota Vikings, we're back here. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I contemplated quarterback, but I was like, I don't know if there's someone I like enough right now. So people might be screaming, oh, J.J. McCarthy, Riley Leonard, insert whoever. I'm not comfortable at this point with those guys. So, you know what? I was taking a look and I was like, Alexander Madison's like, he's fine, but isn't he? But is he anything more than fine? You know what? There's a run back I really like, and I mean, hey, first run back just came off the board. Typically when one position goes, then you're gonna start seeing that ripple effect. So maybe, hey, let's jump on this run back class because low key, it's kind of good. And Braylon Allen is one of my favorites out of Wisconsin. He is built different. Just think Derrick Henry under Arthur Smith. And I think Kevin O'Connell will be like, me likey that. Me likey a lot. So I'm actually going to take Braylon Allen. Pittsburgh Steelers. We're here on the clock. And again, this is a team that it's very... this is a good squad. They could probably get better at the corner position if they really want to. And I'm kind of looking at that slot corner because they really have nobody that I really care about there. Like, okay, they brought in Desmond Keene. That he's fine, but he's kind of a stopgap option. He's kind of that journeyman now at this point in his career. So I'm going to take the top slot corner on the board. Is he listed as a corner? No, they list him at safety. It's going to be Javon Bullard out of Georgia, man. This guy flies around the field with his hair on fire. Cleveland Browns didn't have a first round pick. They were so nice to give that to the Texans for Deshaun Watson. So I feel like I could go anywhere because this team has a lot of talent on it. They really do. And I kind of want to highlight someone who had a really good opening week in college football that I think is probably he could have been a top 75 pick if he came out in the 2023 class. Instead, he returns, and I think he probably could just go higher. He had a monster game against Nebraska where he had 2 interceptions. The dude is built well. It's Tyler Nubbin, dude. Highlighted him last year. I talked about him a little bit too on my safety rankings video. All right, we're here with the New Orleans Saints, and we just saw a safety go off the board ahead of us. Again, this is a team that's they got a lot of good talent. I could go guard. That was a thought. But instead, I think there's a first-round safety to me still on the board. I'm actually a big fan of USC's safety, Kalen Bullock. I think he could go much higher than this. And I'm a sucker for just, hey, if the value's there on your board, go for it. He could come in and, Marcus Maye is very flexible. He could play in the box. The Honey Badger, the Honey Badger is someone you play in slot, play in the box. He relishes just being in around the line of scrimmage. So it still can work out schematically. And honestly, the Saints are really missing that guy that, they're missing Marcus Williams' range, So Bullock is a guy that has that type of range. My Miami Dolphins, fins up, baby. We're back on the clock. And I was looking at the corner position. I know it looks less impressive with Jalen Ramsey out, but you got to think could this be his last year with them? We just traded away Noam and Big Nagani. Cam Smith, I know we drafted him in the second round last season, but he's unproven, and it's not bad to have depth at the corner position. It's a very volatile position. And this is someone that I think has first-round upside at the corner position. It's Nate Wiggins. If you go to my corner video, he wasn't in my top 10, but if you hang around till the end of the video, I list 2 guys that I think could become first-rounders, and he was one of them. If you want to find out the other one, go watch the video. Let's get Nate Wiggins here. All right. We got the Atlanta Falcons. We took Quinn Ewers. What's next here for the Falcons? I think they could probably get more depth at corner because I'm not exactly sold on Jeff Okudah. Again, he did have an ideal start there with the Lions. A lot of that was injury as well. But, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just unproven. Ryan Nielsen, maybe he likes him some Ohio State corners. I mean, maybe that's why they went and got Okudah. But Marshawn Lattimore, too, because keep in mind, he was the former DC of the Saints after Dennis Allen got promoted. So maybe we go to the Ohio State corner well one more time with Denzel Burt. He's got all the talent, man. He just needs to put it all back together because his freshman year impressive. Sophomore year, he kind of struggled with the injury. He got healthy down the stretch, and he looked really good. Philadelphia Eagles, they have this courtesy of the New Orleans Saints. This is a team that just, again, embarrassment of riches. Who do we take in the first round? Oh, Jeremiah Trotter, that's right. Well, I'm going running back here. Listen, DeAndre Swift, often hurt. Kenneth Gainwell just hasn't got a full workload. Rashawn Petty, often hurt. So why not get a very high floor running back in Blake Corum, man? Someone also who could just run the rock. Because you look at guys like Kenneth Gainwell, Swift, and you're like, those are good. Those are really good receiving backs. Swift, he does have that home run potential with his speed. But you're also going to worry about volume with him. Blake Corum, man, was a guy that had all the volume in the world last year, and he produced. Could have came out in 2023, but because of the injury late in the season, he decided to return. Also, I think he kind of wants a natty. All right, we got the Detroit Lions. I grabbed Kalen King. That was just great value. So I'm sitting here looking at this pick, and maybe you go for a guard with just with some high upside, because you got Glasgow. Well, you got Big Daddy H there, or Big Daddy V, whatever he goes by, who I think is he's in his last season with the Detroit Lions. They brought back Glasgow, but why not go on a high upside guy that might not even necessarily have to start? And that guy also plays for Ohio State. It's Donovan Jackson. This cat, he's built strong. He is much faster than I thought and anticipated. When you consider he was playing next to Paris Johnson, you're like, oh crap, yeah, no, this guy can move at his size. Just kind of needs to work on hand placement, just some of the technique aspects of the position, which is fine. He can play behind Gasco. We got the Jags. I took Mason Smith because high upside. That's what Bulky does. What can we do here for the Jaguars? You know what? Okay, I had questions in my deep dive video of their offensive line. Like Walker Little, he seemed fine enough, but can he be anything more than that? Cam Robinson, I don't know how long they keep him. He's suspended for the first part of the season. They got Anton Harrison, who I think is going to develop into a very good tackle, but again, unproven. He's a rookie. So maybe you go to the tackle well one more time with a very athletic tackle in Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. U of A, baby. All right, we're back here with the Chargers. We grabbed a safety, Cam Kitchens. Now, what do we do here for the Chargers? You know what? When in doubt, take a look at your running back position, because Austin Eckler, he's going to be a free agent, I think, after this season. And anyway, even if you keep him, the depth behind him sucks. There, I said it. The depth behind him sucks. So I'm going to go with, he kind of had a down year last year just because he was banged up. But this dude has big potential in Travion Henderson. Literally, you could watch some of his tapes and just his mannerisms. You could play the Pirates of the Caribbean song. It's kind of like he's running like Captain Jack Sparrow. It's kind of funny. A little tidbit there. Baltimore Ravens, I want best player available. That was Dallas Turner. And you know what? I'm going to go with someone who I'm probably higher on than the consensus. And Baltimore likes their penetrators there on the interior. And I think he kind of fits that. And it's going to be Michael Hall Jr. I had him a little higher on this list. It's just Maybe some of the limitations with his size might be of a concern, but man, this guy is literally shot out of a cannon. Okay, Seattle Seahawks. I grabbed your QB of the future in Bo Nix. So where do we go from here? Well, we just saw an interior player taken in front of us, but you're probably looking for a girthier guy. And I have that guy. This dude's 325 pounds, but you wouldn't be able to tell the way Texas A&M plays him. I've seen this guy rush off the edge and get after it. Like, I'm shocked that he's 325 pounds. McKinley Jackson out of Texas A&M. Be on the watch for him to be a big riser. Another guy that I think he was number 3 on Dane Brugler's top 5 interior players. Dallas Cowboys could kind of go anywhere here, but I think the call might be linebacker. This might be surprising. I like what they have in Damone Clark. They might be looking maybe for that heir apparent for LVE Vander Esch. Because the guy hasn't been the same since the neck injury, but like he's been like, don't get me wrong, it's not like he's been a bad player. Like, he's been good for him, but maybe you look for someone with a bit to be that replacement here, and that's Tommy Eichenberg. Honestly, could go much higher. I think he's going to test well, and he's just been phenomenal. I thought he was going to come out last year, and he was going to be a day 2 pick for me. All right, Dallas Cowboys. We did that. New York Jets. So we get to here, and Jets are a really good squad. I really didn't know where to go with them. I thought offensive line. Ultimately, I settled at tight end because it's not like they have a great tight end. And there's actually, I talked about like the tier dropping off. I think there's another guy that you could take right here. He's got a good traditional tight end build, but he moves exceptionally well. I think he's going to be used more in the passing attack this season now that Sam Laporta's gone. He's not on the simulator here. I'm just going to go ahead and take, let's say Trey Knox. Trey Knox, I ain't taking Trey Knox on day 2. So it's actually Luke Lackey out of Iowa. So another tight end off the board here. Buffalo Bills. I really wanted that tackle, but you know what? I look at tackle. There aren't a lot of guys that I like at this position at this point. I thought about Brandon Coleman out of TCU. Decided not to go with that. I thought about receiver, but I was looking at receiver. I was like, now I'm at that point of receiver where it's like, I don't know if there's a guy there I like. I know some people will be screaming A.D. Mitchell. I kind of want to see it first. You've had a small sample size of A.D. Mitchell, so I'm a little lower on him. So I'm actually going to go with a safety, because if you think about it, Taylor Rapp's on a 1-year deal. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, those are older guys. They only could stay around for so long. I'm a big fan of DeMar Hamlin, so maybe find that guy that can play next to him. And there's kind of a freak at safety in James Williams here. Dude's another guy that's just built different at the safety position, moves exceptionally well, and I think he'd probably go a lot higher than this. All right, the 49ers, I took a tackle. I took Graham Barton, and now I'm sitting here thinking, what can they get? And, you know, I talked about how D'Amico Ryans, he loved that penetrating 3-tech. And you look at this roster, and you're like, well, okay, dude, they just signed Javon Hargrave. They have Meek Armstead. Well, those guys will be over 30 going into the 2024 season. So maybe you want to get younger at the position. And the 49ers love their depth. They really, really do. So I'm going to grab Rook Orohara. Probably butchered it. Don't have my pronunciations in front of me. I'm sorry. Big upside guy. Man, this guy gets after it for Clemson. Cincinnati Bengals, I took a tight end in Sanders. Pretty high upside with him. Very good receiving option. I look to the offensive line, but I'm looking to the interior here. Because Volson, he was fine as a rookie last year, but I'm not completely confident in maybe his trajectory. There we go. Words are tough. So, and I think this is actually a good spot for Zach Zittner out of Michigan. Very technically sound guard. Kansas City Chiefs, I I snagged Barrett Carter out of Clemson. And I think I'm going to go back to the defense. And I think, is it L'Jarius Sneed? I think his contracts, or they're going to have to get into contract talks with him pretty soon if they want to hold on to him. And I think he's gonna fetch a pretty high price. So I don't know if they can retain him. So maybe getting someone who's got a lot of versatility at the safety / corner position. And I think that guy is Rod Moore. I'm a big fan of Rod Moore, man. I think he can play in slot. I think he can play outside, and he can play deep. Big fan. And then with our final pick here, Philadelphia Eagles. Again, this is a team that has it all. I'm kind of looking at scheme fit. And this is a team that loves, or at least it looks like that they like Georgia and Alabama defensive backs. So the next guy here for me would be Kamari Lassiter, a very physical corner. Just kind of fits their style if they want to develop that. So again, a team with embarrassment of riches is what it is. But that's it for the video. We have completed the mock draft. Let's go ahead and get to full results here. I'll kind of scroll through for y'all while I talk. But let me know who are some of the guys you think probably should have made the cut. Again, I mean, we're early, very early in the so-called draft process. So maybe there's guys that I maybe didn't evaluate yet, or maybe not even on my watch list. Go ahead, throw them in the comment section below. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing, and as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later. Here, I want to at least get to 64 here for y'all. As I scroll, just in case you want to pause. Maybe you missed one. There we go. We're at 64. Later.